It's that time. I know it can be really daunting, a bit exciting. All the prep you've been doing for the independent school exams are coming to use and the end of the journey and all of that. But there's always that elephant in the room.
The elephant in the room being the independent school interview. How do you prepare for the independent school interview? And more importantly, what could they possibly ask?
Hi, this is Joycelyn. I'm the Managing Director of Geek School Tutoring. So today I want to talk about the questions that can be asked during an independent school interview. It's that time. I know it can be really daunting, a bit exciting. All the prep you've been doing for the independent school exams are coming to use and the end of the journey and all of that. But there's always that elephant in the room. The elephant in the room being the independent school interview. How do you prepare for the independent school interview? And more importantly, what could they possibly ask? Well, first of all, there is no definitive set of questions that they have to ask you. So there are so many possibilities. Basically, the interview is to try and get to know you a bit better, try and work out what type of personality you have, and to see whether you're a good fit for the school, whether you've got the type of personality that will fit maybe within a particular form group, a year group, a class within a year group, that is, and to see whether you fit the criteria that the school is looking for their students. So you could be asked a whole range of questions. I've actually created an online course that goes into body language. There are 50 independent school exam questions that I've built up over time, asking my students as soon as they finish their independent school interviews from a whole range of schools, how to ask your own questions, where to find questions to ask, and so on. So check the link in this description and you will get access to that course that you can ask your parents to sign up for. Back to the main topic. What can they ask? Well, as I mentioned just now, they can ask you a whole range of things, and the idea is to get to know you a bit more. So some of the questions are quite straightforward, and others, I wouldn't say they're tricky, but I think others are not as straightforward, and if you're not careful, you know, they could potentially trip you up. I'll get onto them in a second. So straightforward questions. What are your favorite hobbies? So I always say to my students, if you don't like reading, don't lie and say you like reading, because if you're asked what books you've read in the last month or something and you can barely come up with one, it will be apparent that you're making that up.
No.
Maybe your mum or dad have told you, you know, say that you really like reading and that you really like doing this and doing that. You know, it's fine to say you like playing football, you like playing with your fidget spinner or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. If you have got a bit of an unusual hobby, great. What it is a means of opening up the conversation. So let's just say that you like crocheting, or you like making pom-poms, or, okay, that sounds a bit oldie, but maybe you do, who knows, you know. Don't feel as if you have to say a particular hobby just to sort of fit into whatever stereotype you think the school is looking for, because if they ask you follow-up questions, you will come unstuck and it will be very obvious that you are lying, which it's just not good, really. And it could cost you dearly, especially if you're up against other students who are very honest about what their hobbies are and so on. Other questions might be, what's your favorite subject at school? If you hate English, don't say that you love English. If you hate maths, don't say you love maths. If you love science, say, I really love science, and explain why, what you like about science. Is it the experiments? Is it whatever your reason is? Be very open and honest about that. Try not to give sort of simple one-word answers and then just leave it there. Think of a why and give the reason why. So, I like science because blah, blah, blah. Or I like history because blah, blah, blah. Because you're coming in from primary school, you won't have covered as many subjects as you will in secondary school. So often there really isn't all that much to choose from. If you go to a state school, they're following the national curriculum. So the chances of them incorporating something like Mandarin in their curriculum are quite slim. However, if you've been doing Mandarin as an extracurricular activity and it's your favorite subject, you can say, I actually like Mandarin. We don't do it at school, but I've been doing it at the after school club, or I've been going to a Saturday club or whatever club for it, and I really enjoy it. And I've seen on the website that you do it at this school, and I'm really excited about learning it in school and getting really good at speaking and writing Mandarin. See what I did there? You can do that too. So some of the tricky questions, for example, if somebody hits you at school, should you hit them back? Now, it's not that you want to lie because you shouldn't. However, you've got to get your sensible hat on. By that, I mean, you don't want to come across as the kind of student who's going to go around thumping other children back. Independent schools often pride themselves with having students that have impeccable behaviour, who know how to behave, and who are not just going to launch into physical altercations and things like that. Children get sent out of independent schools for things like that very, very quickly. It's just not condoned. It's not acceptable behaviour, and you're expected to know the difference between right and wrong and what to do. So the answer to that question should definitely be no. But if you say yes, definitely hit them back. If somebody hits me first, then it means I should go and hit them back because I need to defend myself and so on. You're obviously not going to come across as a peacekeeper. It just won't bode well, So think sensibly. The answer really should be no. I would walk away or tell that student not to do that and report it to the teacher or the head of year or whatever teaching staff is available, and explain what's happened so that they can have a word with that child, etc. That would be the sensible thing to do. Think of a school prefect, for example. They often won't be the child that will just punch, kick, scratch another child in response to something that they've done to them, which is why they're often given these positions in school. So you need to display that kind of mature, sensible behaviour that is required and necessary in an independent school, and generally in all schools. You're expected to behave well, but obviously not all schools are interviewing you, and so your response needs to assure the interviewer that you know how to comport, how to behave and conduct yourself. Another question could be, have you sat any other exams? It's not as if they don't know that you've sat other exams, but these days children are sitting 4, 5 or more other exams. And do you really want the school that you really want, or any of them to know that you're doing 4 or 5 other schools? I would say no. You could say, you could mention one school that, you know, might be known to that school. So, for example, in the Croydon area, you've got Whitgift Boys School and you've got Trinity Boys School. They're both part of the Whitgift Foundation. Now, I think that they probably know the students that have applied to their schools as a whole, and that if you went to the Trinity interview and they asked you whether you are sitting or have sat any other school exams and you said no, they probably already know that you sat their exam. So it makes sense to say, yes, actually I'm sitting the Whitgift School exam, or I have sat the Whitgift School exam, you know, and that's fair enough. If maybe you are at Dulwich College, there's nothing wrong with saying that you're doing the Alleyn's or Trinity, you know, but I don't think you should or need to list every single school for which you've sat the exam for. I just think it puts you in a position where you sound as if any school will do, and really it's not because any school will do. Children often get entered into several school exams because it's so competitive, and because all of these schools, they're at different levels, you know. It's very, very competitive to get into a school like Trinity or Dulwich, but you might find it a lot easier to get into a school like Royal Russell. You know, they're at very different positions in the league table. And so parents often get children to do a variety of schools. The schools know this, but I just don't think you need to reel out every single school exam that you're sitting, because you almost want to make it seem as if the school for which you're at the interview for is your best and first choice. You don't want them to think that you're not that bothered about coming to their school, or have some doubts, really. So that's why I wouldn't suggest listing every single school exam that you're sitting. So those are just some of the examples of questions. There are so many, honestly. If you were a superhero for a day, what powers would you have? Some schools will ask you to bring in an object, something you want to talk about. Make sure it's something that you have something to say about. Otherwise, why would you take it in? You know, if it's your favorite cuddly toy, take it in. If it's your favorite book, take it in. You know, just something that you have something to say about. You know, you can take it in. You don't have to create some crafty sculpture to try and impress them. Really, it's not even worth doing that, because the interviews are only about 10 minutes anyway, and you know, you're not really going to spend all that time talking about whatever objects you brought in. So that's that. So I hope this video has been helpful as ever, and if you have any questions, please put them in the comments and I'll do my best to respond. Please remember to subscribe to this channel and like this video, comment and share the video. So see you on the next video. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment and subscribe to the Geek School Tutoring channel, and to switch on your notifications so that you can get an alert every time a new video is uploaded. Don't forget to check out Geek School Tutoring shop too. It's full of exam passing books, posters, dictionaries and other 11 plus SATs and GCSE goodies you need in your life right now. Head over to our shop at www.geekschool.co.uk/Geek School Shop. Thanks!